In the dark chamber that we have all become familiar with, a dark figure approaches a kneeling, cloaked Kaijin.
Rise, cloaked Kaijin. I have another relic for you. The EX Red King Spark Doll. It contains a savage power that you should find useful.
Yes, my lord. Should I use it to destroy Toku King?
I am not sending you to fight Toku King. I am sending you to recover a powerful relic that has just awakened. However, it is very likely that you will encounter this so-called hero. If you do, keep him from getting the artifact.
Yes, my master. Cloaked Kaijin was willing to do whatever his master told him. But the strange creature would find a reason to fight Toku King again. Cloaked Kaijin felt shame over his prior loss. He could not believe that he let an amateur like Dan Kujo defeat him. And even worse, his master was disappointed. Cloaked Kaijin took the EX Red King Spark Doll from his master's hands and headed out into the World Forest. Elsewhere, Dan Kujo, aka Toku King, and his companion the Saba Saber were on the hunt for the same artifact. Saba, this artifact, is it really going to be as helpful as you say?
If it is the type of weapon I think it is, young Kujo, you will not be able to survive without it.
Before Saba could explain further, a mysterious mist filled the area. Saba and Dan were instantly on guard. The last time a mist like this appeared, it was followed by a Kaijin. Their suspicion was soon proven valid, as the cloaked Kaijin suddenly appeared before them. Well, if it isn't Toku King and his little butter knife. My master knew you would be looking for the artifact. I was worried something like this would happen. Toku change! Dan used his Toku changer to quickly transform into the last of the heroes, Toku King. Saba flew into Toku King's hand. They were both ready for round 2. I brought a new toy to pummel you with. I hope you like it. Just then, Cloaked Kaijin pulled the new Spark Doll out from under his cloak.
Look out, Dan! It's...
I see, Saba. It's another Spark Doll. EX Red King from the looks of it. Very good. If you know this monster, then you must know the power it contains. Cloaked Kaijin squeezed the Spark Doll as energy swirled around his hands. Soon his fists had been transformed into powerful fists of molten rock. Toku King raised Saba up and prepared for an attack. Cloaked Kaijin rushed our hero and knocked Saba right out of his hands. The force behind the Kaijin's punches was stronger than Toku King had ever seen. He summoned the Dragon Dagger, but it could not cut through Cloaked Kaijin's powerful new weapons. You really thought that your blades could defeat me? I am not the same being that I was before. I have ascended. Saba fired a laser at the Kaijin, but the creature just shrugged it off. It was not just his arms. His entire body had become stronger. Cloaked Kaijin pummeled Toku King into the ground and then threw him across the forest floor. Toku King landed in the dirt with a thud. Saba was powerless to help him. It seemed like it was all over. That was until Toku King noticed a yellow handle sticking out of some rocks in front of him. Was this the relic that Saba had sensed? He did not have time to think. Not with the Cloaked Kaijin getting closer and closer. He pulled on the handle, freeing the object from the rocks with his superior strength. The object seemed to be some kind of blaster. It was yellow and black, and seemed to resemble some prehistoric creature. Toku King knew what it was instantly. A Dino Charge Morpher. He spun around and fired the weapon at the Cloaked Kaijin several times, but the blasts were weak. Sometimes, when he pulled the trigger, nothing would come out at all. Saba saw this and offered some advice to our hero.
Toku King, use your batteries!
The batteries, of course! Toku King opened the blaster to reveal a round opening. He then pulled out the red Tyranno battery that he had found months earlier. He stuck the battery into the morpher, closed it, and spun the apparatus on the blaster until it charged up. Toku King fired the weapon at Cloaked Kaijin again, but this time it blew all of the molten rock off of one of his fists. What? No! Toku King aimed at his other hand and fired again, to the same effect. Then Toku King charged up a large blast and fired it right into Cloaked Kaijin's chest, sending him flying. The force of the blast was enough to knock the EX Red King Spark Doll off the Kaijin's person and into the hands of our hero. No, my power! This can't be happening to me! It already happened, Kaijin. Toku King raised the blaster up in order to finish Cloaked Kaijin off, but the creature disappeared in a cloud of mist yet again. Saba floated over to Toku King, and they both stared at the spot where Cloaked Kaijin had just been. They knew they would have to face him again. Later, in the dark chamber, Cloaked Kaijin kneeled before his master in failure yet again. I am sorry, my master. I lost both the new artifact and the Spark Doll. The dark figure raised his hand, and purple bolts of energy erupted from it. They struck Cloaked Kaijin and sent him flying back from his master's throne.
That is twice you have failed. You couldn't even hold on to the Spark Doll I gave you. Pathetic. You never failed me until Dan Kujo was involved. That is the only reason you are alive now.
The Cloaked Kaijin twitched on the ground. He wanted to respond to his master. He wanted his lord to know that he would not fail again, but the words would not flow from him. Was he afraid his master would shock him again? Or was he afraid that the words might be untrue? The dark figure walked closer and stood above the Kaijin.
You have one more chance, Kaijin. If you fail me again, you will not be returning here.
With that, the Dark Master left the Cloaked Kaijin on the floor and turned his attention elsewhere. Toku King was created by Paul Kelly Jr., starring Paul Kelly Jr., Samson West, and Jesse Booth. Edited by Paul Kelly Jr. Written by Paul Kelly Jr. Executive producer Chris Winter. Music by Letterbox. Special thanks to Ian McNeil, Cameron Goen, Eddie Chang, and all our donors and listeners. Please follow the links in the podcast description to donate and support the show.